Hello guys, and welcome back to my channel. I'm feeling very cozy and nice today. I picked up some extra work at a nightclub. So last night I was working there and didn't get back till 3, and I managed to wake up in time to do a yoga session, which was awesome. It's probably only my 10th or 15th time ever doing yoga, and it was yin yoga, which focuses on stretching the ligaments and the tendons instead of the muscles. And I have extreme problems with my back and my neck and my hip at all times, so it feels really nice to be able to do something different like that. And instead of pushing snooze and napping in bed, I shot down to the gym and then basically napped in the class while I was stretching my body. So that was such a nice way to spend the Saturday. I remember when I was younger, I always thought yoga was useless because it's not even a hard workout, and I completely missed the point of everything that it was. So to me now, over the last couple of sessions, it's just a really nice way to take time for myself and start the day off on a right foot and kind of gather your thoughts. It's kind of like meditation to me, I suppose. But yeah, it was really nice, and a bit of a late start because I'll be working till late again tonight, and I thought that I'd sit down with you and do a YouTube video and a podcast on 15 ways to save money on healthy food. That's usually one of the biggest setbacks that people have when they decide they want to change their lifestyle. They just say, oh, it's just so expensive, I can't afford all of those things. So I wanted to go through a few points that I've learned over the years and things that I'm still working on myself, and I hope that you find some value in it. I'm also showing up with no makeup today, which I feel like is important to do that every once in a while, because we always see such edited photos on Instagram, and everything's always usually got a filter on it and people are really done up. So although it's important to look after yourself, today I feel like just moisturizing my face until I've got to put makeup on again tonight. So this is the real me. If you're listening on YouTube, then hit like and subscribe. I hope you like my content. I put out nutrition, wellness content regularly. If you're listening on the Plant Powered podcast, I'd love if you give this podcast a rating, and I would love any feedback on what else you would like me to discuss. So let's get into it. Number 1 is only buy vegan mock meats and cheeses as a treat. If you do eat meat regularly, this could be just eating more plant-based sources of protein like veggie patties that you make yourself at home, or adding beans to your dish, or tofu is a really cheap source of protein as well. And if you are vegan or plant-based, I personally buy vegan mock meat every week. The cheeses, not so much, because you don't really get much out of it. It's more just a taste thing. So I usually just go without and add nutritional yeast or add something else for flavor. I do buy them as a treat because it is really nice to indulge in here and there. With the mock meats, I buy them a bit more in Australia because the price is a bit more affordable, I find, but it is still a little bit processed, some of the ones that I buy, so it's important to opt for more whole foods and save it for a treat instead of just having that every single day as well. So yeah, just a little something to think about. Number 2 is save dining out for a treat. So I only dine out or get takeaways about twice a month, I would say. Sometimes like max once a week if I like buy my lunch out if I forgot it or something, but it's usually never something really unhealthy. And I enjoy meeting up with my friends for coffee and getting a lunch or something, but it's not something I do often, so it really is a special experience when I do. And with takeaways, it's more just for a treat as well. If I'm really strapped for time, or if I'm not feeling the best and really can't bring myself to cook, which isn't often, then I might get sombreros or get some kind of burrito or a veggie pizza or something nice like that, or a vegan burger. They're so delicious. I did have one client who said quite a few months ago, she said that she was doing really well and staying on track with her health goals during the week, but in the weekends, that's when she would always go way overboard because all of herself and a group of friends would dine at a different restaurant each weekend. So I said, instead of dining at a restaurant each weekend, why don't you take turns hosting the dinner or lunch each weekend? Because she said there was always alcohol involved, there was all of these different platters, there was always these different dishes that have so much more added when you are dining out. They add a lot more oil, sometimes more sugar, there's just a lot more that goes into it, meaning it's higher calorie foods. So if you take turns hosting the dinner, at least you can still make delicious food, but it's just not as calorie dense. And yeah, it's just another way to provide yourself with some healthy options while still socializing at the same time. Number 3 is make some items from scratch at home. I usually pay for convenience, but my flatmates are excellent at this. My flatmate is up, I think he's making cheese at the moment. The girl that I live with, she made all her own curry paste the other day, all her own slices. She's made like the most delicious cashew cheese that I've ever tasted in my whole entire life, and they make a lot of things from scratch, and they both work really good jobs as well. So they just managed to find the time. They kind of do it in the weekend. They've been making all these different flavors of kombucha, and I'm like, wow, how do you guys do all this? But it really is a lesson learned that you can really put a lot of love and stuff into your food, and even just stepping out of your comfort zone to try a new recipe every once in a while. Another thing I can relate to with the whole convenience thing, I really am enjoying protein bars at the moment, and they can be really costly, and I often buy them from my work where I get a staff discount, but it still adds up just for a snack. So if you do buy those things at home, I mean, if you do make those things at home, it can really save on costs. I know I've made a super easy recipe once, peanut butter protein bars. I just had oats, peanut butter, protein powder, and I think a little bit of rice malt syrup, and that would be a much cheaper way to do it if you want to cut it up and then put it into containers. But for me, a protein bar is just easy to grab when it's already done kind of thing. So if you are saving money and trying to like cut down on your grocery bill, definitely making things at home can be a huge help. Number 4 is meal prep. So you're not encouraged to eat out and buy takeaways. So if you've always got something in the back of your mind, like easy dishes that you can throw together, or whether you've still got leftovers in the fridge or other meals in the freezer, or even just easy things that you can throw together in 5 minutes that don't really take much time to cook, then that can really save on your grocery bill, because you're not going to be caught out. And it's hard if you have a very busy lifestyle and you get home late, then you don't know what to cook. That's when people usually buy a takeaway. So just spending a bit of time, even on a Sunday, just to cook up a huge batch of roast veggies, or cook up a batch of pasta, or just buy snacks that you can pair together to just fill you up, even like veggie sticks and hummus or something, so you can just snack on something healthy when you're strapped for time and come home and there's nothing to eat. Number 5 is freeze leftovers, or use the leftovers resourcefully. So either put them in the freezer, or my flatmates have a compost and I have chickens as well. So if they make food, even just all the food scraps and stuff, like the leaves that come off the cauliflower, the chickens, that was like their favorite thing they've ever had. They were like, oh my god, ripping it to pieces. So it feels really good instead of just throwing something in the bin. Even if I'm not going to eat it, at least it can be repurposed and used for something else, and then the hens will produce eggs. So it's, I don't know, it's just like a way of giving back, I guess, and just making the world a bit more efficient. Another thing which you can do, which I haven't tried myself yet, is if you're boiling veggies, you can save that water and use that for a veggie broth for something else. So put that to the side, and then you can add that same water to then a soup or something, and then add a few more flavors. So it's still got the goodness from the vegetables and the water and a few flavors, but at least it's not just going to waste. But I don't really boil veggies. I usually just cook mine in the pan, but that could be an idea if it's something that works for you. Number 6 is always go to the supermarket with a list to be intentional and avoid unnecessary purchases. So I usually just think of a few things that I want to make for the week ahead, check what ingredients I need, just write down those, and then I hardly ever get anything that I don't need, unless it's every so often I'll get like a bag of veggie chips, or that's pretty much it. I usually stay on track with it all of the time. So just going in with a list can just give you some direction, at least give you ingredients that you know is going to pair together, instead of just ending up with a pantry of stuff that you don't know what to do with. For me, I would probably usually find things to create out of random things, but if you're not confident in the kitchen or just don't want to think about it, then definitely planning your meals ahead of time will be a huge lifesaver. Number 7 is have a big pantry clear out. I've been doing a little bit of this lately. sometimes I have random bags of stuff that I just haven't used for ages and there's just a little bit left of each thing, but I want to make space. So I've just been buying mostly fresh veggies and usually using a lot of things that have already been in the pantry. So whether it's leftover veggie patty mix, or I've got all these different chia seeds, I've got heaps of oats, and I've got brown rice puffs, which is kind of like rice puffs. But I turned that into a cereal this morning and added some banana, and it was really nice because I used that for a slice previously, but I probably won't make it again. So if you are feeling strapped for money or you're trying to cut down, think about the last time you had a huge pantry clear out. So if you want to do it properly, pull everything out, put everything back in the pantry one by one, pull together a bunch of things that you want to use and create something out of it. Same as in the fridge, it's good to just do a clear out every once in a while, wipe all the shelves down, check all these different things that you've got in there and see if you can just use up little bits of items that are nearly empty or things that have just been sitting there for a while. So that's definitely a good thing to do. You can kind of set a goal not to spend any money on groceries for 1 to 2 weeks or however long you need. Unless it's just buying fresh things like milk, or for me it would be plant-based milk, or I would buy just fresh veggies and bread basically, and I'm just trying to use all of the extras, so that's a good one as well. Number 8 is opt for store brands wherever possible. I do buy branded products depending what they are. I'm buying certain things where I specifically like that brand and that flavour and that taste. But when it comes down to basics, like if I'm buying coconut milk or if I'm buying canned beans and legumes like chickpeas, I usually just buy the cheapest one that's on the shelf because they're pretty much all the same once you open the can anyway, so it can be a good way to just save a few extra dollars here and there. Number 9 is that it's not necessary to buy organic if you're not in a position to do so. So I get asked this quite a lot, and I just remember hearing that, and it makes sense because there's no point stressing yourself out to buy all this organic produce if you honestly can't afford it, and then not having money for anything else important in your life that you're meant to be saving for, if that makes sense. If you can, and if you've got spare money and you want to put it towards that and want to invest in that, then 100% go for it. If I had the means to do so, I'd probably do the same, but just for the average person it can be very out of their budget. So as long as you are fueling your body to the best of your ability, I do take supplements like a greens powder as well to give myself a little bit of an extra boost, but just for day-to-day items, it's a little bit hard to avoid, and especially if it's just not in your budget. So I just buy what I can get at the time, and if it is something that you can invest in now or in the future, then definitely do so when you can. Number 10 is buy the right quantity of fresh fruit and veggies so that you don't allow them to go off before you get to eat them. So I usually just buy, when I go to the supermarket just shopping for myself, I'll buy usually purple cauliflower at the moment, a big bunch of kale, and that's probably 4 days worth of food, or up to 5 days, because I usually eat half of one in one sitting because I stack my plate full of it. And then I'll buy some spinach or something if I want to make a sandwich, or if I want to stir it through a pasta dish. So I've just got a few different options there, but I usually go shopping for fresh produce a couple of times during the week and just don't buy so much in one go. And if things are starting to go off a little bit, like if the kale is starting to wilt and you don't want to have it raw, you can always just put that into a stir fry, or say if your apples are starting to go soft, you can do some stewed apples with cinnamon and coconut oil or something like that. Or if your bananas have gone brown, you can make banana bread or put them in the freezer, so then you've got frozen bananas for your smoothie. So instead of just wasting food and chucking it out, just try to repurpose wherever possible. And once again, if you're out in town and thinking, oh no, should I just buy takeaways, just think about what you've got in your pantry and fridge first. Number 11 is get bargains where you can. So if you see something on special and it's something that you buy regularly, then don't be afraid to buy a couple or a handful of them, just because it will save you in the long run. This is excellent if they've got a longer shelf life, such as canned goods or peanut butter or plant-based milks or seeds. So definitely look out for bargains when you see them. Number 12, most of you have already heard this, eat before you go grocery shopping so that you're not splurging on unnecessary items. When you're hungry and thinking about food, you can often opt for more calorie dense food, so you may be wanting to buy more chips, more chocolate, or more easily ready to go foods that aren't necessarily good for us, but once we go once we're satisfied and we're hydrated and we're feeling great, then we usually, and in a good mindset, we usually make better choices and buy more salads and more veggies and more whole foods. So definitely be wary of when you go and make sure you feel satisfied beforehand. And just a note as well, I heard someone say that they do the opposite because that allows them to buy what they're really craving. I prefer to go when I'm feeling full and hydrated, but I do always allocate 4 sweet treats during the week, so I don't say, oh no, I can only eat salad for the whole week. I will always say, oh yeah, I'm definitely going to want this chocolate on Wednesday night, or I'm definitely going to want my yoga bowls, so I'll definitely buy some things for those. Or if I want to make a slice, I'll definitely buy ingredients for that. So I definitely cater towards when I know cravings will hit, which is usually I want something sweet after dinner. So it's not necessarily about saying you can never have anything bad, only good stuff. Definitely cater for when you do have the cravings, but try to do it in a healthier way, or just buy 1 block of chocolate to last you. For me, it's probably a week or something. Number 13 is buy frozen fruit and vegetables. Personally, I do not like the taste of frozen vegetables, or more the texture, because they don't get so crispy and stuff like the fresh ones. So I don't buy those, but I do buy frozen mango and berries. You can use the frozen vegetables. I would use them, I've made like a beautiful vegan chicken pot pie, or I just did buy some frozen spinach, which is easy just to sprinkle through any kind of stir fry, so that it's got a way longer shelf life. It's not going to go off in the fridge kind of thing. But if you are someone who likes frozen vegetables, they can be great in curries. That can be cheaper and just as nutritious as buying them fresh. Number 14 is compare the cost of a store-bought smoothie versus homemade. The same goes for me with coffees. I have a coffee machine in my house now, and it's the thing I look forward to most in the mornings. But I probably only buy coffee out once a month. Maybe if I'm at work and I want a second coffee for the day, if I'm really tired, or if I'm meeting a friend, I'll buy one out. But think about how much money that is saving, because I buy soy milk here. I just found a cheaper brand. It's only $1.60 a carton. The brand I was buying before that was $1.80 a carton. So that lasts 3 to 4 coffees, I'd say, depending on how much milk I use. And then just the espresso kg bag, I think it was $25, and that's, you would spend $25 in a week on only 5 coffees if you bought them at the cafe. So I think that's a much better way to do it. Even if I'm at work, if I'm starting early, I have these beautiful little takeaway coffee cups, and I'll just make it before I go and then hop in the car and drink it on the way, and it's just a really nice cozy experience. So I definitely always consider that. And if I am meeting up with a friend and I want to buy a smoothie when I'm out, sometimes if it's a treat, like if I go down to the lagoon and want to lay in the sun, which I hardly ever do for myself, but then I might get a smoothie or something as a treat for myself. But usually I'll always just make my stuff at home and then take it with me. I just put it in a protein shaker and then just take it with me to work before I go in the mornings. Another one I want to get into, as long as I use it in time, I should really start making my own hummus, because I think it does taste a lot better than the store-bought ones. But I just get worried that I won't finish it or something. But that is definitely another thing that I wanted to do as well, is make my own hummus and potentially pesto. Number 15 is really utilize the cost of split peas, legumes, lentils, and barley in soups. That is honestly such a cheap dish to make. I just made it this week. I've had this bag of split peas sitting in the pantry for like a year or like 8 months or something. I think I bought it to like for pantry ingredients when COVID hit, and I just never knew what to make with it. So I did buy some veggie bacon, which is not a healthy food, but then it allows me to eat all the soup because it just gives it that little bit of saltiness and makes it a bit more treat-like to me. So I put some veggie bacon through it, made this whole big split pea soup, and that's actually a really cheap meal because it was probably $1.50 or $2 for a whole bag, which is like 4 meals worth. Plus the bacon was only $6.50, and I only used half of that container. So then it was just an onion, some veggie stock, And I think that's all I put in the whole thing, a bit of that frozen spinach. So it's like $1 or something per serve, or $2 a serve, which is absolutely amazing. So really utilize adding in some lentils here and there. Barley is also great. Beans are a really good source of protein, and also if you want to do whatever kind of dish you're making, I mentioned earlier, but definitely utilize tofu as well. The first time I tried tofu, my nana, who also eats plant-based, she gave it to me in a dinner, and I almost like spat it out onto the plate. I just couldn't stand the texture. I was like, what the hell is this crap? This is disgusting. And now I actually love it. I just found a really cheap brand, which I believe is an Asian brand. It's also non-GMO and organic, I'm pretty sure. And I've been doing it in the air fryer, and then when you cut into it, it's like crispy on the outside but all gooey in the middle. Oh my god, it's the nicest thing ever. And I never thought that I would be excited over tofu. But it's actually so nice. So there's so much you can do with it. You can turn it into chocolate mousse, you can crumble it up and mix it into things. You can make scrambled tofu instead of scrambled eggs, or cut it into cubes and do it crispy in the pan. Add different marinades like teriyaki or satay. It's just very diverse. You can flavor it and cook it however you want. So that's all of my tips for today. I hope that gave you a little bit of a helping hand if you wanted to step in the right direction to eat healthier but without breaking the bank completely as well. So don't forget to subscribe to my channel. If you're listening on the podcast, then I would love if you subscribe as well. So thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you next time.